How you doing, everybody? It's Wardy, and as you can see, we're back at it talking about the Amazons, and we're back at it with another trade deadline-related video, as David Stearns is not done making moves. We all know the Mets are looking for at least one more starter and one more reliever, and we broke down the latest rumblings outside of this current discussion in a video earlier. Check it out on breaking down Jake Diekman's inevitable DFA. That finally happened, long overdue, right? Tanner Scott being of interest to the Mets. Same can be said with Jameson Taillon. Check out that video after you watch this one, but we're breaking down the latest in Mets land, as there's been a lot of rumblings going on lately with Blake Snell and the Mets. Can this happen? Will it happen? Why is this a higher likelihood than ever before? And yes, the Mets trading for Blake Snell is in fact not only a possibility, but one could argue it is a greater possibility now than a lot of other starting pitching options currently available in the market, and we're going to break down why exactly that is in today's show. But before I do, make sure to smash a like and subscribe button, greatly appreciated. Let me know your initial reactions to the potential connection between the Mets and Blake Snell in the comments down below. And before we get started, let's hear a quick word from our amazing sponsor that you guys and gals know very well, the best MLB fantasy game out there in SoRare MLB.
It's heating up this July on SoRare MLB, where the thrill of the chase meets the prospect of big rewards. Lock in and go yard, collecting cards and playing your way to the top. Get things right and you'll be calling your shot at a share of over $225K in total cash prizes and more. Join for free. Build your winning roster, watch your players perform, and improve your strategy each week for a shot at being crowned a champion. Sign up and enter now. July is for baseball.
Shout out to SoRare as always, everybody. And if you haven't gone in with the July chase, then I'm sorry, because you're missing out on a chance to win over $100,000 in total prizes that we have seen thrown out by SoRare throughout the July chase. And we are now in week 4 of 4, the final month of July. August is right around the corner. Let's see how we're doing here in our latest tournaments. And currently, we have just started our latest one, week 4 out of 4. I got Zach Wheeler, Edwin Diaz, Manny Machado, Gunnar Henderson, George Kirby, Josh Naylor, who is sadly day-to-day with injury right now, and Brandon Nimmo as my lineup there. Very excited to see how it does, and good luck to everybody that has entered the sweepstakes here with SoRare MLB by signing up today. To click that link in the description to sign up, draft your team, enter weekly tournaments, and have fun in doing so. But now, let's hop right back into this one. And as we continue to break down the news, folks, let's get into it. Where do these connections stem from, if at all? Because we know that there were some rumblings between the Mets and Blake Snell during the offseason, but that never got far. The Mets were really never interested in Snell for what he was going to be looking for dollars-wise and term, which is why he held out, signed deep after spring training with the Giants, and had a very slow start to the season. Since then, Blake Snell is looking like the second half performer, one of the best pitchers in baseball, as a surprise of absolutely nobody. He's back in a groove, just had a 5 strikeout game, a lot to like there with Snell. And the latest reporting that we see here is as follows, everybody. Left or right, let's start with Jon Heyman. Over the past day or so, the Giants are suggesting for now they are unwilling to pay down Blake Snell's deal, which includes $30 million, a 2025 player option. Snell is in great form with 347 OPS against the last 4 starts via MLB Network, but if they maintain this stance, that will limit the field. So that is what you have there, and I want to shout out Mets Vent, a Mets follower of mine that said this is huge for us, and I thought the same truly as soon as I saw that, so I wanted to keep his comment there. Speaking of the Mets in particular, then to the right we have Mike Puma saying Luis Severino spoke about Blake Snell today, just out of the blue. I wonder why he did that, right? And I quote, I think he's coming back to his old self. It would be really fun to get somebody like that. Mind you, Sevy knows Snell very well during their battles between the Rays and the Yankees. And then I tweeted Steve Cohen, well, you heard the man. You might as well get the job done, right? So let's get into all the pros and the cons here on Blake Snell, because I know you're going to say right away, Wardy, we do not need a guy that walks everyone and their mother. I 100% agree with you. And I agree that for the Mets, Blake Snell isn't necessarily the best option for them. But as things have quickly changed over the past 24 to 48 hours, Blake Snell is looking more and more of a fit, and more and more of a fit I can get behind. Because let's start with one. By acquiring Blake Snell and that contract, mind you, there's no guarantee he's going to go into that player option should he dominate the second half the way he is right now. I would argue that there's still a chance that he will walk in free agency and look for a bigger deal 1000% unless he is acquired by a contending team, one, has a fairly deep playoff run, and puts up the Blake Snell numbers that we expect him to do, which again may very much be a reality should the Mets land him. But simply saying here regarding the Mets, Steve Cohen, what do they want to try to avoid? David Stearns especially. They want to avoid giving away key assets, young prospect talent, especially for rental pieces. So naturally, they're looking for more controllable assets, and if they're going to do that, they also don't want to give up the farm for a Blake Snell. But Blake Snell, with that contract, with the uncertainty, isn't something that a lot of teams want to have to deal with. But the Mets are one of those teams that can bite the bullet, eat all those millions that's going to take to bring on Blake Snell. You have a lot of money coming off the books this offseason, so it's not like that in itself would be an issue whatsoever. And then you bring in a Cy Young caliber pitcher who's coming off of a Cy Young award-winning season, his final year in San Diego, won one during his time with the Tampa Bay Rays too, a very cool thing to do in both leagues. And now Blake Snell has been absolutely carving up batters that we have seen, including again a 15 strikeout game against, yes, the Colorado Rockies, so let's say for what it is, but nothing short of impressive by Blake Snell. And I know, again, you're saying, Wardy, Blake Snell, he might be a fit. How good of a fit is he? Well, after we just found out the news that Eric Fetty is no longer a Chicago White Sox, my dream of wanting Fetty, and so was the case for David Stearns, is officially dead, as he was a part of a 3-team trade, which landed him now with the St. Louis Cardinals, which, again, I'm not happy about whatsoever as someone who is an advocate for Fetty, and for good reason. For my ball knowers out there, you know what's up. But not only on Eric Fetty, you say Kikuchi, so to a lesser degree, another starter now off the market, as he was just traded for a really good prospect from the Houston Astros. I love that trade for the Blue Jays, and I like it a lot again for both sides. So now that those starters are off the market, and the Mets are not really feeling the appetite it's going to take to acquire, say, a rental arm like a Jack Flaherty, or they just simply don't have the assets it'll take to get a Garrett Crochet or a Tarek Skubal shooting for the Stars. So you got to kind of find a guy that meets in the middle, where he's uber talented, has all the potential to be a frontline ace for you, but also isn't going to cost you the assets it normally would because of his contract status. Now we enter Blake Snell. And when we take a look here at Blake Snell's numbers this season, again, 10 games, 47 innings, a 5.1 ERA. That means nothing. Baseline ERA, accounting that for everything, is the equivalent to not paying attention. A 3.19 expected ERA, roughly 2 runs lower on the expected numbers, tells you that when Blake Snell can control himself and not the defense around him, he is very good. And we have seen that, a 1.28 whip, 61 Ks, and not even 50 innings this season. And now let's take a look at this beautiful thing we call his baseball savant page. How has he looked throughout the first 10 starts of the season? Again, was absolutely horrendous to start, but that was just because he didn't have a spring training. Let's keep it a buck. That's the only reason why Blake Snell wasn't off to a roaring start. He otherwise would have been, maybe not so much on the command doing so great, because he struggled with his control, especially in the first half of the season each year. But in the second half, he has a tendency to turn it on as one of, if not the best pitcher in baseball. He has been the best pitcher in the second half multiple years in his career, including what we saw last season. And when we take a further look here again at the baseball savant numbers, there's a couple key things I want to highlight for each and every one of you. And for whatever reason, the savant page decided to pull up. Oh, I realized why I did that. My mistake. I was touching the wrong thing there. I clicked the wrong link, and I know that just sounded really stupid, but that's okay. We're not going to cut it out. We're going to continue to roll. So now let's put on what we have here with Blake Snell's savant page. Look at this thing, and it's 7-1 Mets here, bomb the 6th. Sign me up. I don't know why I said earlier that we're in the 7th inning. Now it's 8-1, baby. Let's go. Can't wait for postgame. We're going to be riding high. 82nd percentile in breaking run value, 80th percentile in expected ERA, 89th percentile expected batting average, 78th in fastball velocity, which sits 96. Average exit velocity 61, chase percentage just around league average at 47, 98th percentile in whip percentage. Disgusting. And you want to know what's even more important? Blake Snell is in the 22 percentile walk percentage. That might not seem like a big deal, but for Blake Snell, who usually walks everyone and their mother, to have him anything close to middle of the pack versus the 1 percentile is a plus, and we will take that for what it is. But 98 percentile in whip percentage, 90th in K percentage, he strikes out a boatload, and that inflated game against the Rockies certainly doesn't hurt. We see 54th in barrel percentage, 84th in hard hit percentage, 58th, so above league average there in ground ball percentage, and elite extension there in the 83rd percentile. You're getting Blake Snell tops out again where he sits 96. He tops out obviously 99 on the gun. He's electric when he is right. Curveball 81, changeup 85, slide piece 89. You got a lot to love there with Blake Snell. And again, the big bugaboo with Blake Snell are 2 key things. It's 1, it's walking everyone their mother. And it is 2, how to perform at a big market. I was just preaching to you guys over the past 24 to 48 hours. My biggest concern for Blake Snell, should the Mets Mets go out of their way to try to acquire the veteran southpaw is that he hasn't handled a big market before. Yes, he's handled big games. Yes, he's had great playoff success. We have to account for that during his time with the Padres and the Rays, so that is where it even makes more sense to go after him. Mind you, just for some food for thought, Ryan Stanek, Phil Maton, even though they're, relievers currently for the Mets, nothing crazy. Both those guys have elite playoff numbers, which definitely goes in hand to a degree why the Mets acquired them, especially with guys that have been having up-down years. Blake Snell, who had a down first start to the year, now picking things up fast. He's going to continue to dominate in the second half this season. For the Mets, they would be acquiring not only a dominant southpaw option, but a true ace option that they simply do not have in their rotation, nor do they have a southpaw quite like this, because Jose Quintana, while he has been looking brilliant that we saw in his start here against the Twins, Jose Quintana is not a flamethrower by any stretch, so he needs that pinpoint accuracy, which is great to see when it's right, but when it's not, it's batting practice. And in the case of Snell, he has the velo. There's lots of light there. More average exit velocity, more average velocity in general than Sean Manaea, than quite a bit his former teammate during their time in San Diego. But Blake Snell, if he can command the strike zone, if he can keep the guys from getting on base and stealing bags crazy, which has been a problem for him in the past, if we can at least keep that at a minimum or to the best of the abilities where it's not, peaking like Jake Diekman, where it's, you're getting the worst out of guys with these problems and the high risk, high reward, you're having to deal far more with the risk than the reward. You don't want that. But in the case of the Mets here, there are, again, valid pros and cons to going after Blake Snell. I understand, and I see both of them. And if the Mets can swing a trade for a starter that isn't Blake Snell, that is a Jameson Taillon for a affordable deal, I'm not opposed to that whatsoever. But again, if you're looking for a frontline starter that is not going to cost you the key assets that would be the case with a Garrett Crochet, a Tarek Skubal, among others, this is the route for the Mets to go down, and their ability to eat that contract of Blake Snell for this year and next, should he opt in, which again is still a big question mark, I would rightfully argue and say, the Mets could find themselves looking out like huge winners in this one. Again, we'll find out what happens. We will be live tomorrow for trade deadline coverage. I'm sure we're going to have a long multi-hour stream breaking down all the latest news, rumblings as they're actively going on. And should trades happen, we will live react together with all you amazing Mets fans and this amazing community that we have built here on the WardyNYM platform. But that's going to be it for me. I don't want to be too long-winded here. Blake Snell, would I like him? Yes. Would I like him at the right price? Yes. Sign me up. Do I think that Blake Snell to the Mets is not only a possibility, but a greater likelihood than ever before? Yes, all those things are 1,000% true. And there's a reason why, even, again, say what you will about him, but Andy Martino went out of his way to say on SNY pregame today, I would be shocked if the Mets have not been in contact with the San Francisco Giants about Blake Snell over the past 24 hours. And there's absolutely a reason why there has not only been more rumblings on that front today, but also why you have Luis Severino going out of his way to speak on Blake Snell in the pregame clubhouse today. Just an interesting thought. Why would he do that? Why do that, Sevy? Almost like he's trying to make a subtle pitch to Steve, which I'm for. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I'm now going to transition and begin my editing for tonight's post-game coverage. So whenever you watch this, hit that like and subscribe button on your way in or out. Let me know your initial reactions down below to Blake Snell to the Mets. Does that make sense for you or not? Drop them down below. What trades do you think could make sense if you want to build a potential package? What assets do you think you'd be warranted to trade from the Mets to the Giants? Drop them in the comments down below too. Really curious what your viewpoint is on that for all my fellow Mets fans out there. Thank you again, as always. No matter what, let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.